Hey, boys and girls, welcome to another edition.
And ladies and gents.
Soar High Personal Development.
Boys and girls.
Your source for inspiration.
It's an awkward way to open up this podcast.
For real. That's why I said ladies and gents.
Yeah, well, sometimes you got to shake things up.
Well, I'm ready.
Do the intro.
Joining me today is Davin Hunley with an I, and he's a producer extraordinaire, beat maker.
Not currently.
Not currently? Oh, that's right. He's having a block right now.
Yeah, having a hard time, but
It happens going through the season.
yeah, it's all right.
Well, I'm sure you'll get through it.
Oh, I will.
Mike Rose, martial artist extraordinaire, and Brent Atterbury, marketing guru. So today,
I was going to introduce you as professional eater.
professional eater.
Just like me.
I asked Mike the other day if he's got a tapeworm. People said, "What's
I
a
do eat
tapeworm?"
a lot.
What is a tapeworm?
It's like it just hosts. You're the host, and it just feeds off you. Whatever.
It's like no, it's a real deal. It's
yeah,
like
you're
a worm that
it's looking
eats.
for a host. It's a parasite.
Oh, it's a
technically,
parasite. Okay. And
Yeah.
it just my brother used to say.
to live, it needs to live through you.
My mother used to say, "Have you got a tapeworm in there?" Because I used
Mother wasn't. Yeah, she probably wasn't wrong. One day you shit it out.
Boy, I just like
Man.
to eat.
Well, today we're going to talk about a touchy subject. My co-hosts here aren't sure if I should talk about it, but you know me, I like to hit everything.
Yeah,
head on.
we were getting.
I like controversial subjects.
We were going to discussion the other day about this subject, and I was like, "This is a good idea for the podcast."
So here's the
We-
deal. Are you ready?
We should say just the one word.
Yeah, okay.
At
We're going to talk about abuse. But what prompted me to come up with this idea today was I'm driving down the road and I look over and I see Boys and Girls Club. Then I'm thinking, didn't it used to be like Boys Club? Yes. And Girls Club separate? Now it's Boys and Girls Club together. I don't really get that. What about Boy Scouts? Is it now Boys and Girl Scouts? Have they combined, or they are allowing the other gender to come in with the Boy Scouts? You can't discriminate. Is that true?
No,
I don't know.
There's still Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts.
Yes, but
Still-
I understand you can't. The Boy Scouts have to let the girls come in if they want to come into the Boy Scouts group. Is that correct or not?
I'm not quite sure, but
have no idea.
I do know one thing though. Like say wrestling, back when I wrestled, the girls wrestled on the boys' team,
Okay.
but now it's changed up. It's you have
Two separate organs,
Mhm.
two separate gigs.
Yep.
So I'm driving down the road. I see this boys and girls, and I'm thinking, man, when I was a kid, I remember they made us. They had a swimming pool in the boys' club, and they made us swim naked. And I'm thinking back, why would they make us swim naked? Something's not right about this. I mean, I was like 5, 6, 7 years old.
I have a question. Was it one person, one of the leaders or workers that worked there? Or
I
was
don't
it
recall.
all of
I don't recall that. I just recall that at the boys' club they made us swim naked. We couldn't wear anything.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking, all these years later, was that abuse? Was that some kind of a pedophilia? Is pedophilia a word?
Pedophilia.
But
Pedophilia.
Pedophilia.
Yeah. Was that a pedophilia experience, or am I just being paranoid?
I know
At any rate, go ahead.
some pools don't allow cutoffs because they don't want the fringes and
That's a lot
chunks
different
of the
than swimming
jeans getting
naked,
out.
though.
But it's not like everybody had
No.
cutoff jeans on.
And then it started making me think about, okay, abuse. How about the Boy Scouts thing?
So
Now there's a big. Go ahead.
So when you got older, you realized it, or like were
Yeah,
you just
well, like,
young
I mean-
and thought about it?
No, I didn't
But
think
so
about it at all.
you didn't
when
think
I was
about
a
it when
kid.
you were young. So when you
No.
got older, you came to realization.
Like, what's going on here? Why are they making us swim naked?
Yeah,
I can't
see.
imagine
I
going
see.
to the YMCA or the boys club now and they make you swim naked. That doesn't sound right
Yeah.
to me.
no,
I've never
No,
heard that.
that-
no, you
So
don't.
something's not right back in those days. That was 50 years ago, more than 60 years ago.
And then think about back then, no cameras,
No
witnesses.
cameras, no internet, no social
yeah,
media,
so
no
They
watchdog.
you
call
don't-
that skinny dipping. I'm
yeah,
just kidding.
Technically,
No, it
yes,
is-
you are right. Yes.
That's
Did
what
you ever go skinny dipping
No,
with a woman?
no, not
Did
at
you?
all.
Oh yeah.
Not
I
with the
went skinny
fish.
dipping with
Oh,
women.
yeah.
What about you?
I
Oh,
never
well,
had.
Not with a
Wait,
tadpole.
wait,
you're way too conservative.
maybe I don't know. I can't remember.
Can't remember.
actually.
He was
Okay.
probably. No, I'm playing.
No, I was
Probably
probably
high.
drunk.
Probably
I was
drunk,
probably
okay.
drunk.
He thought he was skinny dipping, but he
Okay,
pissed the bed.
so going forward, the Boy Scouts thing. There's a huge lawsuit that was just settled, where there was all this abuse going on with the kids, with the Boy Scout leaders. What the hell is going on? And then I'm thinking, what about the Catholic Church?
Oh, that's what I
One
was gonna
case
mention.
after another, 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 after another. What the hell's going on with these organizations that are supposed to be protecting, particularly children, and they're caught up in this kind of abuse? I don't get it. I mean, that really riles me up.
Yeah.
Nobody really gets it. I don't think there's a
Where's the penalty for this? Where's the parents on this? I mean, I'm just asking out loud. What the heck's going on?
I agree that there should be a very strict and stern penalty.
Validation and the
But-
penalty. But that's why background checks are important.
Mm-hmm. Well, not only that, but a lot of the time it turns like a quote unquote pedophile or someone who abuses children, whether mentally, emotionally, or sexually. They aren't around children at first, so they don't, quote unquote, know. But then as they get around children more and more every day, I feel like that's what causes them to be like, I find this child attractive, which is weird, and don't take that out of context from me saying
No,
it.
I'm
But
Attractive in a sexual way?
for some people, it's sexual. I guess I don't know.
I asked
I
this
can't
question
answer
earlier
that.
before we got on air. How can a grown, mature man or woman find sexual excitement?
I think what
out of a
Davin's
child?
trying to say is like once you're around it so much, maybe if your mind's not chemically right, is
Yeah.
what Davin's trying to say. That maybe you
got to
got
be mental illness.
Yeah, so say if you're around it so much and you say it struck a nerve.
Well, if that's the case, why aren't these people treated that way? Why aren't they treated
Well,
as a medical problem versus you're a bad person? You should, you're
all
gonna
these
go to-
people that have problems hide it. All the people that have
Hide it.
problems. Yeah,
Explain that to me.
you got to think say when you're like, well, so and so murdered this guy, and you're like, okay, was he on drugs? And then no. What was the cause? And if it was something stupid, literally something stupid, then he's just a lost cause and it's been in a negative mindset. So I say that is like if you're already in that negative mindset, you already think like that without having any remorse, basically.
So that's like a sociopath, no remorse.
Yes. So I would say more to have the tendencies of a sociopath. So because a natural human, and I mean
a normal person.
yes, would think and rationalize and feel remorse. Like I could never do that to a fucking kid. Ever.
Right. Well, that's my point. Why would you want to unless you had? There has to be a motive.
That's what I'm saying.
What's the motive?
That's what I'm saying. Now, like what Dav was trying to explain earlier, I think what he's saying that environment and the guy's already fucked up in the head, and being in that environment's gonna prompt him is what I think Davin was trying to say.
Think of it like this: the more porn you're around, say, we'll take an example of a younger adolescent, a 12, 13, 14.
That's different than a 5-year-old child.
No. I'm trying to make an example
Okay.
of an environment. And your father has a subscription to Playboy, and you know where he hides them.
Yeah.
And you go there. The more likely you are to get addicted to it.
When I was a kid, that's what we did. We went to Playboys. We had magazines that we found. I don't even remember where we found them, but that was our trip. We were 10, 12, 13 years old. We weren't like 5 or 6.
No, this is to say the environment creates something. I'm just going off of
this,
like-
and even go off the play off of him. This could be like PTSD for these people that have fucked up problems. Maybe they got abused,
Mhm.
and then they think that's all right because that's all they know.
Now
Do you
we're
see
back.
how-
To,
do
now
you
we're
see what I'm
back to
saying?
now we're back to probably incest.
But well, no, not
No,
really,
no.
not really. But
That's a whole nother subject.
We're still abuse, okay? But listen, this goes back to even when I was saying environment because I was playing off of him because he was wording it. I don't want the audience to think, well, Davin was wording it right because I can sit here and understand Davin, but that's what I'm saying. Environment's key. What did that people go through? What did they go through?
Mm-hmm.
I think it all stems from I think even an abuse itself, like say out of the discipline range. Like I've whooped my kids' asses, but I've never made them bleed, ever. That's abuse. But I'm saying like back in the day, like when I got my ass busted, there was blood. But I didn't consider that abuse. To me, abuse is not feeding your child, not giving them the
Right.
ability to grow their mind and the ability to shelter them. That is abuse
I
to
agree
me.
with that.
Making
Now-
them feel like they're not worth anything.
Exactly.
Also,
Exactly.
would be
It's-
like an emotional.
that's an
abuse.
emotional abuse. But I'm saying but those are things within like there's going to be stems of different versions of this depth of abuse. But I'm saying, to me, abuse would be a physical thing that you would have to physically harm them, which we're talking about this sort of different type of abuse that you're talking about. But I'm saying, to me, in my eyes, like the pure form of abuse that would go over the top of.
Let's shift gears for just a second. What about elderly abuse? Since you want to talk about all abuses, who's got an example of that?
You're talking about like nurses.
I'm
right?
talking about an old person being abused by a young person. Let's
That-
talk about that. How often
nurses-
does that happen? How
That's what I
widespread is
thought
that?
he was talking about.
Well, there's multiple. So like, there's nurses like
Oh,
either
nurses in
in-home
like a nursing home.
or in home in hospice.
Okay, give me a
Or-
real example of what I'm
Okay,
talking about.
so you're
They shit the fucking bed and you don't change them.
Okay.
There you go.
that or
That's abuse.
there's also
That is
times
abuse.
where you can leave them like say on the toilet. There's also times where you don't feed them at the right time. You give them cold food
And don't have the medication
Um,
ready.
Yeah, you don't get them their medication. There's times where there's nurses that have been found like to physically abuse
Yep.
older people, like give them
Well,
bruises.
Financial too. I've heard him.
Financial
I've
is
heard
a
him
big
going
Stealing
in to
from
go
them.
to the store to get them something. Then they also buy $5,000 worth of other
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
So-
and milk.
I remember.
It's-
I remember when my mother was sick. I had a nurse in the home, and there was money stolen from the
That's
home.
abuse.
And I never could prove it, but it had to
they
be.
abuse the privilege.
Yep. There's financial, there's mental, emotional,
It's terrible.
physical. There's
The
Karma.
subject's deep.
There's a price to pay for this.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. So the abuse carries over to where when you're an adult and can affect your performance of doing a good job at work or doing a good job as a husband or wife as well.
That's why I say discipline's important. Very important. Like when I was talking about abuse earlier, like with my sons, I don't, this is another deep subject. Like you had a deep subject.
Yes.
Like say the child services like called me about marks, their bruises that I spanked my son with the belt. This is a long time ago. I've never used a belt since because I'm just like, that's just ridiculous. Like I got my ass busted with the belt. Hangers.
I got my ass
Like,
busted
you
with the
fucking
belt.
name I got
Not a
my ass
hanger,
busted.
but belt.
Oh, metal hanger on my ass.
Wow.
Ow.
Mine was a Hot Wheel track.
Hot
My-
wheel track.
Yeah, I
bet
remember.
I bet that's
It left 2 little marks across your butt.
But
Drop
say,
your doors.
Wow.
Whack.
But
Drop your drawers.
but say like when you're your son's being insubordinate basically.
You got to do something.
like say like I'm holding my son's arm to make sure I hit his butt
And you got in trouble for the mark.
on the mark that missed his ass. You
I
see what I'm
gotcha.
saying?
Yeah. What about the whole child support services? Like what's the name of the?
That's abuse itself.
Yeah. I mean, I hear horrible
That's abuse
stories
itself,
of
but
how
I-
parents are
but-
accused of things they didn't do
But
at all.
I understand because if one person fucks up, it ruins for everybody.
It does.
Well,
You're right,
on the
good
news,
point.
I just saw the news this morning where
DFS.
2
that's-
parents were being convicted of killing their daughter. They said they were trying
Oh,
to
that's
beat
the ultimate.
she was possessed or something, and they were trying to beat it out of her.
What
And,
drug was that, people?
Yeah, so there's another abuse there.
I think
And
they,
then-
I
then-
think,
that
I
may
think
be,
they,
that may be like a religious.
I think they need to go seek a church.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
Yeah,
that's
have-
called
have-
drugs. It's
Well,
just
yeah,
called
Well,
drugs.
they
it-
thought
yeah,
it was,
yeah.
so
You never
were they
know.
right in the head?
No, they
You
couldn't
never-
be right in the head.
But you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. It could be drugs. Very big possibility.
You're
Yeah.
right, and it doesn't have to. May not be street drugs. It may be like prescription drugs, which is another whole subject on another day. How abusive that process is. How you get people hooked on drugs.
But I think any spiritual warfare should be
Through the
you
medical
should go
system.
see religion.
So speaking of religion, the Catholic Church, how is it that after years and years of all these horrible stories, they still are able to grow their organization? I don't get it.
You gotta think back to like
Hey.
a cult idea. Brent, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, man, it's everywhere. It's
Yeah.
just they happen to be a big footprint, and so they can bring that to light. It happens. It happens everywhere.
Yeah.
In small businesses
Yes.
where there's only 4 or 5 employees. It happens in
Well,
little.
you're
it
talking
happens.
about sexual
it
abuse
hap-
with I'm talking about
in-
children.
Anything. Okay, in daycares. You know, it's everywhere. So there has to be things in place. Parents have to be very aware, but there has to be
Background
things in
checks.
place to
But there's
to
no
take care
other
of that.
church organization that has that reputation except the Catholic Church.
No.
I'm sorry.
You
Go ahead,
I
Brent.
don't agree
I'm
no,
listening.
I just think it's everywhere, and you have
I
to
do agree.
you have to
think it's
police
everywhere.
it. You have to put things in place to prevent it from happening as often as you can.
I think it's in more places than you're thinking, but I do agree with you in the sense the Catholic Church is known for
It's
it.
terrible.
But that's the reason why you think that it's not everywhere else, because
I didn't say it
the
wasn't
Catholic
everywhere else, but
Church-
by itself, it doesn't make sense to me that that kind of stuff can go on, and then that organization can
I
still
see. I see
grow.
what you're
I
saying.
agree.
It doesn't.
I agree.
Somebody's protecting
in the house,
somebody
in,
some way.
in the house
somehow.
of God, there has to be an organization.
My goodness, that should be the place you should feel comfortable.
But
and,
Ron,
and secure.
The reason that shit happens is because it's organized. Remember that.
and another thing to think about.
You're talking about priests that take an
We're
oath
okay, but we're talking about not
that
just
are abusing children.
Yes, but not just the priest. There's multiple people involved. Trust me.
And think about how
There
much
has to
What do
be.
you mean?
Okay, but the priest alone has to have people have his back
I see what you mean.
to cover his tracks.
So you're saying it's
an organization.
It's an organization.
Yes, it's a tool.
It's horrible.
and think about how much money the Catholic Church.
I have a
has.
sexual
Exactly.
abuse. I have a
and
sexual.
they'll pay him off.
I have a sexual abuse story I'm going to share with you guys. I just thought of it.
Go ahead.
A memory. Are you ready?
I shared something
This
deep.
this
so
is a
go
little
ahead.
bit more light and lively. We'll break it up a little bit.
Here we go.
So years ago, there
We
was
might cut this out.
no, it's a good story. Years ago, there was a girl that worked for me, secretary.
Okay, time out. I'm gonna stop you right now. Where is this going? Tell me right now before we say it, and I'll cut it out.
Yes.
Tell us
No,
right now.
this is legitimate.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you I'm not going to tell you the crazy
My
stuff.
God.
This is above the board stuff.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
Lord save us.
so this girl was doing something in the office, and I threw, or I don't think I did. I think it was one of my other employees that threw something at her, like a piece of paper.
Mhm.
She goes to the city of Springfield and files a complaint of sexual abuse. This is a true story. I never told anybody this. I'm telling you guys this today. I had to go to a meeting. It wasn't a meeting. It was almost like a trial set up by the council, the city of Springfield, Missouri. It was a session, and I had to go there like it was almost like a judge, and I had to prove my case in order to be vindicated.
So
That
you threw the
she-
paper?
I don't remember if I did or one of my employees did, but I was
You were the boss.
I was the boss, so I
Okay,
was
okay,
responsible. I can't remember, but the bottom line is
Did the paper hit her in a certain spot?
no.
Then the sexual abuse thing was not even.
Well, it might have.
valid.
I don't remember, but I just remember having to say to the court, "Look, man, I didn't do anything wrong. This is ridiculous. This is frivolous. This person's just wanting some money, and you got to throw this case out." And they did. But the point I'm trying to make was something that, simple and silly turned into all that. I couldn't believe it, but I'm sure that goes on all the time too.
Well, I think
And
it's
that's a personal
because there are
experience.
things that
Sexual
actually
abuse.
do happen. So that's what they're trying to do is figure out if it really did happen.
She
or
knew
not.
we
Yes.
had some success. She probably thought
Yes.
she was going to get some money, and
People remember it goes back to one person ruins for everybody else. They abused their privileges. When I used to work at Walmart, I watched somebody like make something like spilt, and like less than 5 minutes, somebody like I could just tell.
Oh, I'm falling.
Yep. And this motherfucker busted his ass. I could just tell it was on purpose. And this motherfucker couldn't get up. And I was like, really? The ambulance came and everything. And then they finally, after he busted his ass, they put the wet force line right there, finally.
Mm.
But I'm saying it was like less than 5 minutes because he was going to go get the mop to clean it up. And I could just tell the way the demeanor, because I was really watching, because like I was like, I just noticed something fishy because I was stocking shelves.
fishy.
And then he did when he hit, like he didn't, like I don't know. I just call bullshit on it, but still this day he abused that.
He abused the system.
He'll be punished.
I had a woman
Karma's
come
real.
to my office one time and accuse me of sleeping with her daughter, who I had no idea who it was. Tried to blackmail me for I think it was $5,000. I mean, that's the kind of crap that goes on out there in the real world. But I don't even know who the person was. Said, well, she was underage and this and that. I mean, listen, let me tell you another story.
Oh, I like this.
About abuse. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So in high school, I was dating this gal who, by the way, has gone on to become a very successful person in the business world. I won't say the name, but at any rate, this girl
Never say names.
Never say names. We really get set up for
So
lawsuits.
you're saying it could have been your sugar mama.
No, she was.
No.
It was this girl in high school, and we were both, like 16 years old, probably. And at any rate, she had some physical issues. We were trying to be intimate, but it was not able to happen. She had some problems, so that never happened. Years later, I get a call from this person. I mean, years later, and I could tell right away something wasn't right. She sounded intoxicated. In the background, I could hear a man. The man turned out to be her boyfriend. They were fighting. She proceeded to tell me on the phone as she was talking to me, and I'm sure he could hear in the background, that because of me, she had to have an abortion and she could never have children again because I abused her, which was a complete fabrication. Never happened. But she abused me for the idea was that to impress her boyfriend and to make her boyfriend feel like that he, because he couldn't have children, whatever it was. And I was the scapegoat. So that's a personal example of being abused as an adult. This happened it's years ago, but I'm just saying there's all kinds of levels of abuse, right? So
Right.
That goes on. This goes on with people if they say in their mind, some people even if it never happened and they think it happened,
and they think it happened.
That's their reality.
That's their reality. You're right.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
That's crazy.
Say stories, right? That's why I don't ever get involved too deep with a lot of people. Say if I hear people arguing, say at the gas station, it's a man and woman. I do not involve myself with that.
Good point.
And some people do. Everybody wants to be the fucking
some
hero.
people want to be the
but
hero.
guess what? You're just as bad as them. Now you're involved.
That's a rabbit hole.
Yes. And some people don't understand that. They're like, well, I'm going to be the angel. No, I'm going to be the hero. Stop what you're doing. You're not being the hero.
Good point.
There's some things that you just cannot go down. But no matter what story you're going to be telling, it's their side, her side, his side, and the truth. And you're walking in saying you're going to be, no, stop.
We're not the experts in any of this.
No,
so
not at
you
all.
need to reach out to professionals if you're having a problem or situations or have experiences of anything like we've talked about today.
Oh, we're
Good
going
point.
we're going
Reach
through
out.
life experiences for sure.
Reach out. To
Always reach
someone
out, yes.
for help on a professional level.
I agree.
Well, I don't know if I agree. No, I agree.
No, I think sharing life experiences so people
I don't always want to agree with this guy. Come on.
Well, I think sharing life experience so people have a rule of thumb, basically, kind of see okay, they experienced that, so it kind of help guide them, making sure that if they seen the same thing, they would send a message in their head hey, you know what I mean? It's for the audience.
Speaking of guide, I think it's time to glide along and play on words. I've been hanging around you too long. To the ad portion of our podcast.
Yes, I would say
David
so.
didn't even
It's
say
about
it.
that time.
Okay. So this podcast is brought to you by America's Same Day Service and Soar
Play the
High.
jingle.
Play the jingle.
Yeah, play the jingle. If your heater won't heat and your cooler won't cool. No. At any rate, you can hear the jingle on our website, samedayservice.com, by the way. That's about, 30 years we've had that jingle, give or
At
take?
least.
We are now nationwide. So if you need a heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical appliance guy, go to samedayservice.com and or go to America's Same Days. Go to samedayservice.com and you'll find a location, hopefully, in your neck of the woods. Also, Soar High Jiu-Jitsu, which is Mike's dojo. And this is our Soar High Personal Development, which we have a website, soarhighpersonaldevelopment.com. We have soarhighrecords.com, which is Davin's Trip. He's our producer, and we do music entertainment. So now, any closing thoughts?
Absolutely.
Of course, Mike does.
The last thing about abuse is self-mutilation or self-harm.
Oh,
Not suicide.
Yeah,
Not suicide.
self-mutilation.
Self-mutilation.
Is that like where you cut your wrist as an example?
Yeah, pretty much. But like say when I was younger and I say like tattoos is like almost like self-mutilation.
Really?
Yeah. But say like having piercing your ears and engaging them. Like I used to, my ears, remember how my ears had
Yeah.
holes, right?
Yeah.
I was at 1.5 inches. My teacher, I remember I was bleeding out of my ear because I would go certain sizes and sometimes they would like not rupture, but they would split.
Ooh.
So my teacher, she pulled me out of the hallway and I could just tell like the way she talked to me and the way she articulated things to me. She's like, what are you doing? She's like, you do you like self-mutilation? And I was like, why is she speaking to me in these terms? And now that I got older, I understand that what she's seen didn't see what I see. I see art.
You see art.
I see pain that you have to go through it. So that's why I love tattooing, because it's a part of the process. It's a pain, it's a growing, it's a healing process. But I see it's art to say I express myself. Same thing when I was when I was gauging my ears. It's a warrior thing, and
It's a warrior thing.
and some you could say that, but say like the infatuation that I had about it, it was art to me still. But also, it was an image to separate myself from other people too.
Other people, yeah.
But at the same time, you got to think, even in some cultures, it was a warrior status. The bigger they are, it was like, say you're the strongest warrior. But I can understand the process because it's painful. So it's a painful process. So I think even
But that separates you from.
but some people would label it as abuse.
Oh, I see.
But yes, it could be a form of coping. That's why people get tattoos, or in some sense, some people want
Fair
tattoos for
enough.
arts. But even going back to even this abuse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say one last thing. Like, there is self-abuse, but the one last thing I want to say: don't abuse your privileges. Like, say if you have power. And this goes out for the audience. Once you obtain power, say if you are successful, say if the audience that is listening that is trying to come up, once you obtain power, don't abuse your power. Don't shit where you eat. Stay on the right path and stay strong. Don't abuse yourself and the others around you. I wanted to close out with that.
Davin? Nothing.
Good stuff. Can't follow that. That was good
No,
stuff.
that was good
Yeah.
stuff.
For once, I'm speechless.
I am speechless, and that's unusual for me. Well said, sir. Well,
Thank you, sir.
I guess we'll close things out and see everybody on the flip-flop. No, that's not the way I'm supposed to end this, is it?
No.
So, if you don't give up, the stars will always line up. So until next time, stay positive.